And hello once more, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 10 of the Druids Dozen. Yes, we've made double figures, and I'm quite enjoying doing this. Basically, my name's John Wisby. I am a DJ. I do a couple of radio shows on, there's one on the Sunday Rock Show on the BCFM 93.2 FM in the Bristol, UK area, and I also do the Rock Druid on astroradio.earth, internet based station. And basically these videos are just me sitting on my sofa on a Saturday afternoon with my mate Albrecht over there, pulling out some albums at random from my record rack and just having a chat about them. 12 albums. I would like to try and get it done in about 45 minutes, so let's just jump in straight in with this week's selection. Kicking off, as always, with a bit of vinyl, and we're having this one. Yeah, Molly Hatchet, No Guts, No Glory from 1983. There's the front. There is the back, and I don't think this is got anything on the inner sleeve. No. Bit of Southern Boogie for you. I've always had a soft spot for a bit of Southern Boogie. Always kind of like bands like Skinner, Molly Hatchet, Grinder Switch. I don't know, maybe I've got a hidden inner redneck side, but I just like that kind of no nonsense, straight down the line country rock and roll. I love all the twin and triple guitar interplay that these bands get up to, and yeah, it's just good fun music to listen to. And I've got to admit, when it comes to albums, this one's pretty damn good. So this lot out of Florida. Well, loads of you that know your Southern Boogie know all about Molly Hatchet. Apart from Lynyrd Skynyrd, these are probably the biggest band on the scene over there. Been together since the early to mid 70s, I think 75, 76, their first album, and still going strong to this day, although they've had quite a few lineup changes. Most recently, a few years ago, when Danny Joe Brown, the vocalist, sadly passed away. But still very much an ongoing concern. Now, so this album, 1983's No Guts, No Glory, it's not my favourite album of theirs overall. It's not a bad album for all intents and purposes, and unlike bands like 38 Special, Molly Hatchet never really, or Blackfoot to a certain extent, Molly Hatchet never really went for that big MTV slick sound. They kept true to their kind of country rock roots. But they've done better albums overall. However, the one track on here that makes this album well worth listening to is the For the Peacemaker. It's one of these long, typical Southern, I think of bands with tracks like Freebird. Long kind of Southern, about playing time of about 8 minutes on this, I think. Yeah, just over 8 minutes playtime. And it's a track written in response to the shooting of John Lennon. And it's just a cracking song. The lyrics are quite personal and poignant. There's some fantastic kind of, all starts all slow and got picky guitar, got a fantastic kind of heavier boogie play out bit at the end. And, that one track makes this album. There are other high points on this record, Ain't Even Close, What Does It Matter, Kinda Love, etc. The other tracks, they're okay, but, nothing special. There are better tracks on other Hatchet albums. But, like I said, for the Peacemaker, this album's well worth getting. So, Molly Hatchet, No Guts, No Glory, 1983. Our first album this week. Okay, gonna cut the CD, gonna come back to the UK, and we're having this White Hoarhound by Birmingham doom metalers Alunah. There's the front. 2012, this one. there's the back. If I open him up a bit here, got to get this booklet out. There's the guys and girls. And here there's just kind of artwork and not exactly lyrics, they're kind of outlets from the lyrics, just kind of quick quotes, etc. Some quite nice kind of sort of Victorian neo-pagan artwork. Now, oh yeah, and there's the disc, by the way. Now, Alunah, so they're out of Birmingham. They're a kind of doom metal band, but with a kind of sort of pagan Wiccan metal kind of vibe over the top. Very much into kind of new age, you know, sort of new age witchcraft, etc. You know, whether they're actually physically into it or just explore the theme, I don't know. Although I know the band, it's one of these subjects that's never really raised, because being a bit of a non-believer in anything kind of woo and spiritual myself, well, these things don't tend to, you know, I tend to got a laissez-faire attitude. Unless you're getting in my face about it, you can believe what you like. Now, I came across Alunah 2014, I think it was. There was a festival in Bristol called Till Doom Do Us Part. No, sorry, Till Death Doom Us Part. So I've got to get this right. Organised by a couple of Bristol headbangers, and it was an all-dayer. Now I got involved two ways. My band Alien stashed in. Surprisingly, we were on the bill because the promoters thought we had a bit of a doom metal swing to us, even though we're kind of a space rock band. But yeah, we played and went down okay. And doing the BCFM radio, the Rock Druid was still a kind of couple of years down the line at this point. Doing the BCFM radio show, I kind of hooked up with them, became the official broadcaster of the event. Basically, some of the sets were recorded for session play, and I wandered around grabbing bands and interviewing them. Well, Alunah were headlining one of the stages, and I think the first stage headliners Alunah, and I went, you know, got to these guys, and what should have just been a 15-minute interview, kind of, because it was coming towards the end of the event, I was getting a bit drunk and could say unprofessionally, and you know, I met up with these guys. We hit it off, and there was another band called Valfada on the site that was joined us as well. Copious amounts of alcohol, were drunk, and became quite good mates. They come back to Bristol a couple of times since, and I've interviewed them, and once just got to hang out with them for the evening because, well, why not? You know, I like this band. They're kind of doomy, but they got a kind of quite ethereal, folky kind of vibe to them. Vocalist Sophie Day, amazing singer, absolutely cracking. I don't think she's with them anymore, but she is on these and the album that came after this at least, and amazing voice, kind of like I think in one review I referred to her as the Janis Joplin of Doom, and you know, you've got the rest of it's just, she's backed up by what is effectively a standard three-piece. Was it? Yeah, Dave Day on guitars, Jake Mason on drums, and Gaz Imber on bass. Just a tight backing band that can kind of sort of like Sabbath doom out most bands, and yeah, just rock. So, you know, all their albums are pretty damn good. This is as good as any. Highlights to look out for: you've got the 2 parts Oak Ritual, which make up the epic. Chester Midsummer Watch Parade, probably one of my favourite Alunah cuts. But you got Betty Owl's Fall, The Offering, White Horehound, Dementor's Grief. It's really, really good. If you're into your doomy kind of, maybe even folky in places, pagan rock and metal, you know, this is one to take you away with the fairies. Great album. Okay, next up we're going to have a bit of vinyl and a bit more new over British heavy metal this week. I think it's the only one. Yeah, I've got another one coming up in a bit, but anyway, this one, Split Beaver, When Hell Won't Have You. There's the front. Came out in 1982, this. There's the back. And yeah, it hasn't got an inner sleeve, but there we are. Heavy Metal Records. Yeah, one of the seminal UK metal indie labels of the early 80s of the new wave of British heavy metal era. Now, Split Beaver, like many of these bands, because these were another band from Birmingham actually, especially like these Birmingham bands, they kind of, again, predate the new wave of British heavy metal by a year or two. These guys formed 76, 77 time. 4-piece bunch of bikers that like playing rock and roll and heavy metal. You know, round on the local circuit, local heroes kind of think they're quite the handsome beasts. And then, yeah, the new over British heavy metal came, and all of a sudden they began to find themselves getting more and more popular. And they released a single, was it Hound of Hell and Savage, double A-sided single, one of the early releases on Heavy Metal Records. And because I did a lot of singles before the albums came out. It was about 1980, 81. I've got it in the racks over there. It's a bit of a collector's classic. And then 1982 brought out their one and only album. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is very typical of the era. It's not particularly brilliant, you know. I'll give it. Yeah, I'm not going to make sort of nitpick. This is not a brilliant album. As you can tell, it's got kind of like I got some felt tip pens and I'm going to use their artwork. Not quite as bad as that first Battle Axe album, which I'll come to one day. But you know, the songs are a little bit, I don't know, clunky, maybe a bit cliched. They, you know, it's yeah, the production's not brilliant. Who did the production on this one? It doesn't say. So I presume it was the band themselves at Ginger Spacewood Studios in Birmingham, wherever that was. But anyway, it may sound like I'm coming down on this album, but I'm not. It's enjoyable because it sums up what the new wave of British heavy metal is about. A bunch of mates got a band together. They know they're not going to be the next Iron Maiden or Saxon, but sod 'em, we're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to bring an album out and we're going to make people dance, party and play air guitar. And, you know, having someone that was there on that scene, never saw Split Beaver, though, one of the bands that slipped past me. But, you know, that's what it was about. And this is a great sort of like tribute to those kind of maybe more innocent times, but fun times none the least. Tracks on here, we got a track called Gimme Head, for God's sake, you know, that should tell you something. Savage, Cruising, Levington Gardens, say Hounds of Hell, Get Out, Stay Out, I Am the Bailiff. It's just a great album. For it's what it is. No nonsense, straight down the line, new over British heavy metal. Quite collectible now, has had a CD reissue and digital release as well, but yeah, I don't know if these guys are still together. I think they're one of these bands that do periodic reformations for one-off gigs for birthdays, etc. But anyway, Split Beaver, When Hell Won't Have You, for 1982. Okay, next up, got to go up another CD, and we're having this one. This is Unhallowed Chambers by Mordrake. Now, I apologise for that. I've got some noise in the background. Yeah, Unhallowed Chambers by Mordrake. If I can hold it like that so it doesn't reflect off the screen, which is kind of my laptop, which I'm using as a as a tablet stand that suddenly bounced back on. You can see if I hold it there, you can see it's reflecting some kind of bloody advert. Anyway, yeah, there's the front. I'll show you the inlay card in a bit. There's the back. Take this out here. Another broken. No, it's only that, and there's the band, and there's the front cover again. Got a better line up on it here. Now, Mordrake, band out of my hometown in Bristol. They're metal. They're very, very metal. This is their first album, Unhallowed Chambers, and this is a death metal album. No qualms, no bones about it. This is as death metal as an animated skeleton with a big hood and a big scythe riding on a horse called Binky. Yeah, Jester, very death. I can't remember who plays on this. Yeah, you got the main man is Jamie Drake on guitar and vocals. Then you got Chris Moore on the guitar, Patch on bass, and Squire on drums. And a guy called Jake Kelly doing additional bass. Yeah, now Mordrake, one of these bands I just come across on the local scene. I mean, my band Alien Stashins played with them a couple of times. We turn up on the same bills and that kind of thing. Lovely bunch of lads. I've had them on the radio show a few times. So this first album, very death metal. It's, you know, bands like Soil Work, maybe. Early Opeth. That's where they're coming from. On here you got tracks like Rising, Rumours, Myths and Legends, my favourite cut by them. But it's Claim for the Dark, The Guardians Will Return, which is another cracking track. It's all heavy riff, like, vocals and that kind of malarkey. Very good in that kind of genre, if you like that kind of genre. And I don't mind it, so hence the reason I'm talking about it positively now. So this is their first album, 2013, thereabouts. And they've got at least one more since. And after this album, I had a bit of a lineup change, and they went Viking metal. Basically, they started sounding a bit like Amon Amarth, and doing very well at it as well, if you ask me. But anyway, still together, still on the live circuit when we can get the live gigs again. All their stuff's self-released, so you might have to contact the band personally, or Facebook, or Bandcamp or something, or go and see them live when we can get back to gigging again, and pick up a copy for yourself and get their other album as well, because it's quite good. But anyway, Unhallowed Chambers by Mordrake. Now, next up we're going to go vinyl. And for the first time in this series of videos, we're having some God rock. Yeah, white metal, however you want to call it. There's the front. This Bloodgood by Bloodgood, by the way. There's the back. Came out in 1986, this. And I'm sure in here somewhere. Oh yes, there it is. You got an inner sleeve with a. It's something that some record labels, especially some of the Christian record labels, used to do back then. You got the inner sleeve there. With the, you've got the gatefold, you've got lyrics on it, go at the other side. But the rest of it is kind of given over to a label advert. Mind you, like some secular labels did it as well. I think Chrysalis used to do similar kind of things as well at some point. But anyway, this is some of their back catalogue, of which I have none. Yeah. Oh yes, I've got the Altar Boys album. That's right. Now, I was brought up in a very religious household. My parents were and still are members of the Salvation Army. And although I kind of, you know, nothing against them, you know, organisation, I disagree with a lot of their policies about, you know, gay, about homosexuality and that, but you know, does the good they do outweigh the bit of hatred? I've argued let's toss in my parents left, right and centre, we agree to differ for the sake of family unity. But anyway, I got sick and tired of the Salvation Army and some of their attitudes, and I quit. But, you know, by this point, I'm talking about early 80s, I'd already been exposed to kind of some of the early Christian rock. I mean, bands like the Resurrection Band, etc., Blood and Fire, the Solid Rock Band, Petra, etc. And, you know, I kind of kept in touch with the scene because, you know, there was some good music coming out. You know, the devil doesn't have all the best music. You get bands like Bloodgood turn up from time to time. Now, whereas around about the same time, Striper, probably the most famous of the white metal bands, were all kind of very glam and hair, and some of the music wasn't particularly good. Bloodgood, although they've got the kind of almost not quite glam kind of image going on, musically these guys were a lot different from Striper. Maybe not as heavy metal as bands like Barren Cross were, another one off that scene at the time, but these guys kind of bear favourable comparison to bands like Dokken, Armoured Saint, maybe even Twisted Sister to a certain extent, yeah? And, not Twisted Sister, Crimson Glory, sorry, I'll get me American metal bands mixed up. And, you know, they did a string of albums, I think they're still going. I honestly believe I've heard stuff by these, because on BCFM we have a guy called Danny does a rather good Christian rock show earlier in the evening before I go on, and I sometimes listen to this before I go on. I'm sure I've heard him play some more recent stuff by Bloodgood. But anyway, yeah, there's two really standout tracks on here. Oh, sorry, three. The opening cut, Except the Lamb. Got some fantastic harmony vocals with a riff underneath it to die for. Then you've got the last two cuts, Killing the Beast and Black Snake. Killing the Beast is kind of almost like thrash metal. It's really fast, it's really heavy, it drives, it's got this probably air punchy, killing the beast, crush his head kind of vocal on it. And then that kind of segues into a cut called Black Snake, which is, I don't know, it could be a Dio era Sabbath track in places. Yeah, overall, it's a cracking album. You know, kind of, if you can get past the lyrics, are a little bit preachy, a little bit God-bothery, but, you know, God, these guys are a Christian rock band, what do you expect? You know, there have been some that haven't been quite so in your face, but, you know, if you can get past the in-your-face lyrics, and to be honest with you, if you can sit there and listen to Venom shout about how you should worship the devil, why not listen, and it doesn't make any difference to you, why is Bloodgood shouting about how you should worship Jesus going to make any difference for you? You know? They're not providing the proof that you need to convince an atheist or an agnostic, are they? But anyway, but musically, I'll let these guys go because they're great. And if you're interested in Bloodgood, this is, in my opinion, still their best album. So I'll start here. But yeah, that catalogue's pretty good overall. So check them out. Okay, next up we'll have a CD and something new. Yeah, this only arrived through my door box a couple of days ago. There's the front. It's Potokami by Czasm Eter. There's the front. There's the back. Got to pop this open. There's the guys there. And this hasn't got a booklet, it's got a fold out. Folds out that way, you've already seen a couple of the sheets of it. And then And yes, that is Polish. Because these guys are from Gdansk in Poland. Now, I do a shot on my on the BCFM show where I do this thing. I go on tour effectively. Basically, I just pick a town somewhere in the world. I go visit them. I never go on that town. I don't actually go to the town physically, but I check out the town online. I check out the music scene using things like Bandcamp, local music sites, etc. to find out what's hot, what's happening, who's big in the town at the time, or who's a promising act from the town, and yeah, play a couple of tracks on the BCFM show every week. And I did a visit to Gdansk about 6-7 months ago, maybe a bit longer than that. And one of the bands I discovered was Czasm Eter. Now, these guys are a duo. They're a kind of prog rock duo. I want to say prog. You know, bit of space rock in there maybe as well. Bit of kind of contemporary kind of dark electronica. Basically, the best way to describe these, I was playing this album before I came on there just to remind myself, because I said I don't know it that well. This is their latest release. It's if you can imagine people like Jan Hammer and Vangelis, maybe some of Rick Wakeman's solo material. I want to say bands like Tangerine Dream as well. Kind of that kind of ballpark. It's nice. It's kind of if you want to get some Sonic Theatre, the German project, is another one that kind of fits it this way. It's keyboard led. It's kind of quite trippy. It's quite instrumental, progressive, just good listening music. It's an easy listen. It's not a kind of don't expect earth-shattering stuff. It's all instrumental, and yeah, just very impressive. Tracks on here. You got I'm just going to point at it if you can read it, because I'm not going to pronounce that. I can't speak Polish, and I'm not going to insult the Poles by having a go at pronouncing that one. You've also got a lot of ones I can pronounce: Argon, Totem, Grom. Every track on here kind of well played, well produced, well written. Just kind of drifts along in a kind of nice ambient background kind of prog vibe. Yeah. Now, I've got a couple of spare copies of this, and if you tune into next week's Rock Druid and Astro Radio, first broadcast will be on the 8th, I think, of August. And check out the Astro Radio Facebook page. I'll be running a competition for 2 copies of this to be won by 2 different people. So, and also I'll give you a chance to hear some cuts off it. So, yeah, Potokami by Czasm Eter. Good album that you could own if you tune into the Druid next week. The Rock Druid on Astro Radio. Okay, next up, complete change of gear, and we're going to go CD again. We might as well whip this out because it's only a folded piece of sleeve in a. There's the front. It's the Pigeons Told Me to Shoplift by Captain Hotknives. There's the front. There's the back. And yeah, look, this is that home produced. It's got the guy scrawled on it himself. Yeah. Now, Captain Hotknives is a kind of punky singer-songwriter stroke poet. He's out of, I believe, Bradford, up there in Yorkshire. And yeah, basically he just writes these bizarre, rambling sort of poem songs. Normally involve induction of illegal substances. Normally talks about kind of really bizarre social interactions. Put it this way, cuts on here, you've got a shabby, opening cut shabby muffin on a British rail train, and your chocolate chip muffin's got no chocolate chips in. It's a shabby muffin. Then you got mushrooms, which is a magic little track. Glue, the chip shop, which is about going to the chip shop and finding they've run out of chips. Jimi Hendrix won't help you with your maths exam. About studying for a maths exam while listening to Jimi Hendrix. And yeah, I'll never forget the time I developed amnesia. Cracking track. That's got me in stitches. Hotknives Are Good For You, which is a bizarre biblical tale about Jesus, a choir of angels, and a pair of glowing knives and some cannabis blims. You Lying Man. Yeah, the Pigeons Told Me to Shoplift. Bizarre tale that he just spins out for about 10 minutes. Yeah, this guy's got about 3 or 4 albums out. I've got all of them. This is the only one I've got on CD. The rest I've downloaded digitally. But the guy's just great. Musically, is nothing special. He's very, very good, but he's nothing overly special. His vocals are a bit kind of northern and bland. But if you want a sort of like John Cooper Clarke in a car crash with the Mac lads, and sounding very good for it, yeah, Captain Hotknives. Pigeons Told Me to Shoplift. I don't even know when this one came out, but it is available to download from Bandcamp, so yeah, go get. You'll be in stitches. Okay, next up, bit more vinyl, bit more new over British heavy metal, and we'll have this. Tygers of Tang, Crazy Nights, 1982, I think it was released. Yeah, recorded late 81, came out early 82. There's that. There's the back. Now, oh yes, there's something in here. Now those of you that were watching the other week, I mentioned about bands' merch sheets. Before the internet, if you want to turn up and see a band on tour with their latest tour shirt, you got one of these when you brought the record. And basically you filled it in, say what you wanted, sent it off, and lo and behold, within 28 working days, or 30 working days, sorry, you'll get a parcel through your door with your Tigers of Tang or whatever it is t-shirt in it. Yeah. Yeah, and on here they got sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies, button badges and posters. Yeah. So yeah, bonus for you. And if I remember rightly, that's the album. Here, this is a first pressing, and it's got a 12-inch single came with it, Stormlands and Slip Away. Was released as a 7-inch in its own right, but if you want the 12-inch version, which to be honest with you plays no different from the 7-inch version, you have to buy the album. So, yeah, Tigers of Tang, out of the northeast, new over British heavy metalers. One of the nearly made it bands. The album sold well. The albums hit top 20, top 10. Then on the album after this, The Cage, they had a couple of minor hit singles. Love Potion number 9 got to number 20 odd. You had Making Tracks and Paris by Air, I think, were the other two that kind of sort of dented the bottom end of the British sort of top 100. But sadly, the kind of band, you know, the MCA Records dropped them at that point. I think went to Music for Nations, the indie label, and didn't quite get the push they deserved. Tried changing the sound a bit to get the more radio airplay, but that kind of killed the spirit of the Tygers of Tang. And yeah, by that point they were no more. Now, but this is the album just before they've reformed. They're still going, I hasten to add, but you know, their chance of being the joining Maiden, the Saxon and Def Leppard as the big ones from that period had missed them. Now, this album's from 1982, just before their kind of almost made it period. And it's, I would say this is probably my favourite Tygers album. Though it's pretty close, to be honest with you, between their first 4 albums. They're all pretty damn good. This one maybe shades it a bit. Again, it's one of these, depends what mood I'm in, really, if you ask me. But it's got everything going for it. You've got tracks like Love Don't Stay, Do It Good, Never Satisfied, Running Out of Time, Crazy Nights, Lonely Man, Raised on Rock. You got twin guitar pairings of John Sykes, yeah, the bloke that went on to Thin Lizzy for a bit, and I forget who he's with now, but anyway, great guitarist in his own right. Whitesnake, yeah, we was in Whitesnake for a while, and well, the apology. I'm not going to go there again, but not Whitesnake. Working with Rob Weir, who's still one of the guys that's still with them. John Devil on vocals, Brian Dick on drums. It just rocks. There's the performances are spot on. The production by a guy called Dennis McKay is, you know, he keeps it kind of together to make it very listenable, but without polishing the fire out of it. Rodney Matthews artwork, not one of Matthews' best, but still Rodney Matthews, one of my artistic heroes. God, I've met a couple of times, a lovely bloke. And yeah, there is absolutely nothing to not like about this record. Obviously it is available on CD. You just might have to look around for it, but it is out there somewhere. So and on MP3 if you're that way inclined. But yeah, Tygers of Tang. If you've not heard of them, yeah, get into them. And any of their first 4 albums is a good place to start, including this one. Okay, next up, he reaches for a CD, and gonna go prog. We're gonna go Yes, and we're gonna go Drama from 1980. Now, I know it's actually the 2004 reissue. Again, I got this one because my vinyl's getting worn out. There's the lineup on this album. A few notable absences. And here we go. You've got, because this is the reissue. You've got a massive, great big long story of the production of the album. There's the lineup, and yes, there's the lineup there. And yeah, this is the Jeff Downes and Trevor Horn lineup. Then you got the lyrics. Then you got the inner sleeve artwork from the gatefold of the vinyl, and you know the score. Roger Dean artwork on the front. Now, this was the first Yes album I brought on vinyl. I was aware of Yes, you know, in me mid-teens, but there was one thing stopping me getting into Yes fully. John Anderson. Nothing against him personally, and all you Yes fans out there, this is not a personal attack on John Anderson. It's just that I can't get on with his vocals. To me, he sounds like a castrated choir boy. And I'm not in, you know, and I'm not against falsetto vocals, but, you know, after listening to, you know, and I do, much as I love albums like Close to the Edge and Topographic Oceans and Relayer and that, I have to listen to them in short bursts because, you know, I want to throttle John Anderson by the end of one side. So, and again, I feel bad about saying this, but it's just a personal thing. Some vocalists I don't get on with. I don't get on that well with Ozzy Osbourne either. Nothing against him personally. great, you know, iconic frontman and did some great albums, but his vocals great on me. But anyway, coming back to Yes, when I heard that John Anderson had stepped down, Rick Wakeman left again as well, but I didn't really know that much about him at the time. I heard I had a new singer, and a girl that I knew at the time, a girl called Joanne, played me the new Yes single. I know. So she goes, well, listen to this. And I'm, oh God, it's going to be John Anderson again. And she goes, no, it's not, it's Trevor Hall. No, not Trevor Hall, Jeff Downs from Buggles. And I'm, what, Video Killed the Radio Star bloke? She goes, yeah. So she played the track, which was Tempest Fugit, and I went, actually, this has kind of cured my problem with Yes. You know, the voices are still kind of high, but he's got more guts to him than John Anderson ever had. You know, but all the other elements are there, the harmony vocals, the complicated time interchanges, the kind of slightly out there lyrics, it's all there with a vocalist I could actually listen to without cringing. And so consequently I went out and bought the album on vinyl. When this came out, I picked this up because it's got some bonus tracks on here, it's got some B-sides, some single edits, unreleased cuts, or like that kind of thing. But overall, the main album itself, which I'm mainly talking about, opens up with Machine Messiah. Classic epic track. I'll play it about once a year on BCFM in our Epic of the Week slot, just because it's a brilliant song. White Car, Does It Happen, Into the Lens, Run Through the Light, Tempest Fugit. That's it. Nothing more to say. Everyone's a bit of a belter. And yeah. Now I know I'm probably going to get some hate comments, and but you know, let me know why I should listen to John Anderson period stuff. And you know, is there any way that I could listen to John Anderson without feeling ill? You know, and again, this isn't a John Anderson attack. He's probably a very nice guy, just that his vocals get on my tits. Simple as that. But anyway, he's not on here, and I'll recommend this album. Drama, Yes, 1980, go get. Oh, better push on because we're getting a bit short of time. Okay, I'll make this one very quick, this one then. Bit of punk. Anti-Nowhere League, live in Yugoslavia. If you don't know, Anti-Nowhere League, notorious kind of drunken biker punk band out of London, 1970s, big hit single with their version of Ralph McTell Streets of London. The infamous We Are the League album with tracks like So What, So What, So What, So What, You Boring Old Beat. Anarchy, in your face, drunken punk rock goodness. Well, back in the trying to think when exactly was released. Anyway, early 1980s, late 70s, early 80s. 1983 this one was. Yugoslavia, communist Yugoslavia, being as it was kind of more of a run by a guy called Tito, who was kind of not more Trotskyite than Stalinist, so he was kind of almost as opposed to Russia as the West were, but on the other hand he didn't like the capitalist running stores of the West, so he kind of ploughed his own furrows, non-aligned stuff. And you know, looking back with historical hindsight, the guy may have had his faults, but he did a fairly good job of it. I mean, he managed to hold the Balkan states together by kind of making sure that, you know, the Croats, the Bosnians, the Serbs, the Montenegrins, the ethnic Albanians didn't, none of which got any favouritism over the others, and therefore held it together. Maybe through cult personality. I've met quite a few ex-Yugoslavs, and you know, even the anti-communists still think that Tito was a fairly decent bloke. Anyway, one of the things that this kind of non-aligned status of Yugoslavia meant was that Western bands could play in Yugoslavia. Now, Yugoslavia had a great punk scene at the time. Not only, I've got a compilation album around somewhere of Yugoslavian punk bands from the 70s and 80s. Not only were they kind of touring Yugoslavia quite regularly, and something was coming to the West, they were also kind of smuggling their records into neighbouring states like Romania. And you know, bands from countries like Romania and that were nipping over the border into Yugoslavia to record albums and release them over there. But anyway, this meant that bands like the Anti-Nowhere League could tour Yugoslavia. And in Zagreb at the Mosa Paja, and on the 24th of April 1983, Anti-Nowhere League took to the stage, and while they were there, recorded this, initially for kind of Yugoslavian release, but then it came out in Britain as well. And yeah, basically this is the greatest hits of the Anti-Nowhere League live. Let's Break the Law, Streets of London, Let the Country Feed You, We Will Survive, I Hate People, Snowman for You, Going Down Woman, Can't Stand Rock and Roll, So What, Wreck of Nowhere, Painted Black, We Are the League. It's Anti-Nowhere League. It's abusive, it's in your face, you know, I can't play on the radio much because lots of F-bombs and C-bombs going off all over the place. But it's fun. You know, it's obvious, it comes out several times, it's obvious that the audience don't know very little of what he's going on about. And he can't speak Yugoslavian. And, you know, there's kind of some almost comedic kind of misunderstanding moments going on. But overall, it's pretty damn good. The twin guitars of Magoo and Gilly, legendary in the punk scene. Animal himself snarling and posturing and swearing and stomping, you know, Winston on bass, PJ on drums, ties it in together nicely. Yeah, good live punk album, well worth any punkers having in their collection. Anti-Nowhere League live in Yugoslavia. Okay, next up, we'll have a bit of this. This is Dog Age by Reefy Seadragon. There's the front. There's the back. And I'll pour this out. There's the gatefold. And that are the lyrics. If you have a magnifying glass, you can actually read them down to nearly to the end of the album. Yeah, and there's a kind of psychedelic stream of consciousness sleeve notes, which does kind of say thanks to everyone, but it's kind of, I say again, stream of consciousness stuff, so it's a little bit, you know, what were these guys smoking? Well, you can probably guess what these guys were smoking. They're a psychedelic stoner band. And yeah, Reefy Seadragon. They're band from gets around the right way. Yeah, band out of Norway. I don't know exactly where in Norway. I wanna, you know, I don't want to say somewhere obvious like Oslo because I'm probably wrong, and there's a great music coming out of all parts of Norway, right from Tromsø down to Kristianstad. But then all you need to know is they're Norwegian. They're heavily influenced by sort of like the psych era, Beatles, Small Faces, Chicken Shack maybe, just kind of laid back, sort of weird bluesy, slightly bluesy, hippie, psychedelic stoner rock. Cuts on here, the American Line, The Puppeteer, Bong Song, Spanish Peasants, Cosmic Wheel, cover of the Beatles, Blue Jay Way. Very, very pleasant. It's very, very good. Well played. I can't tell you that much else about it, really. I don't know whether these guys are still together. This is the only album I got. It's recommended by the late great, recommended to me by the late great Todd Dillingham, Canterbury sound guru, who kind of was an old mate of mine. Sadly died a couple of years ago. But yeah, he recommended me this lot, and I checked them out, got this album, and I've never really gone back to find out what they've done since, which is a bit of a shame. So that's more going to be my project over the next couple of weeks, find out whatever happened to Reefy Seadragon. But in the meantime, I'm going to give this another play, because I haven't played this for a couple of years, and I recommend that you track it down and give it a listen as well, because if I remember rightly, it's pretty good. Okay, last one today. And another band that I'm surprised hadn't shown up before now. It's this lot. Yeah, Aerosmith. Draw the Line from 1977. There's the front. There's the back. Has this got anything inside? No, nowhere to sleeve or anything on this. No doubt other pressings and versions. Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, just an insert with credits on that side and a big Aerosmith logo on that side. Now, Aerosmith, from this side of the pond, Aerosmith were pretty obscure up until the Permanent Vacation album. And they had the big hit with Love in the Elevator. Up until then, yeah, they had played in Britain, but you know, they weren't getting the radio airplay. They weren't sort of like a household name. If magazines like Sounds or Kerrang covered them, it would be, you know, page 13 for a couple of column inches, you know. But I came across them because I'd heard the name mentioned in Sounds or Kerrang or something like that. And I was going through a box of old tapes in a Woolworths, you know, 49p tapes, and one of which was this album, Draw the Line. The tape has long since got eaten by a Walkman, and I replaced it on vinyl. So hence the reason I'm talking about the vinyl, not the cassette here. But this was my first experience into Aerosmith, and they're a band that I've had I'd say they're my favourite band, because I do find they can fire hot and cold at times, but for my personal taste, I isn't right. But you know, overall, I like their stuff, and this album is still the one I come back to. Maybe it's that sort of like, you know, your favourite Doctor Who's the first one you saw. With me, it was John Pertwee, but maybe your first Aerosmith album's the first one you heard. And while I'm not knocking things like Dream On, Get Your Wings, you know, even then albums like Night in the Ruts and Done with Mirrors, I've got a lot of time for. This one is the one I come back to. Maybe because it's the one that I didn't have a great deal many tapes when I got this. I was only about 16, and you know, I did play it incessantly for about 5 years until it got eaten. So you know, I do know every track on there like the back of my hand. Draw the Line, I Want to Know Why, Critical Mass, Let's Get It Up, Bright Right Fright, King and Queens, The Hand That Feeds, Soft Sore Eyes, Milk Cow Blues. Everything just rocks in my opinion. My favourite Aerosmith cut of all time is Kings and Queens. I just like, it's almost kind of like unlike nearly anything else I've ever done. I apologise for the neighbour's child waiting outside. The neighbour's got a little 3-year-old plays on the balcony. Yeah, so she's having fun. You can tell that's her I'm having fun squeal. But anyway, toddlers, you got to love them, haven't you? So ignore that. But anyway, Kings and Queens, because it's almost kind of, I say, my favourite Aerosmith cut, because it's not, unlike nearly anything else they've done, it kind of goes into prog rock territory. Lovely piano-led kind of stuff. But you know, Draw the Line, just a kind of riff-rocking gem. Bright Light Fright, almost kind of speed metal in places, but in a rock and roll vein, if that makes sense. It's brilliantly played. The production's great. The songwriting's great. I don't know how true it is about the story about them being let out of it on drink and drugs during the recording of it, that when they went to tour it, they had to go back into the studio to relearn their own songs. I think that's apocryphal. But it does. But the legend does turn up from time to time, so it's worth repeating. Of course, Aerosmith is still going. To be honest with you, when they started doing power ballads for Hollywood movies, it became MTV darlings, and then everything they released up from that point onwards seemed to be either a kind of self-indulgent blues cover or another power ballad. I tend to lose interest in them, so you know, that's around about the Get a Grip Pump era. But you know, up until then, I like Aerosmith, and you know, my favourite Aerosmith album, Draw the Line. So that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed. I'll leave links to the radio shows down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook, sorry. And yeah, leave a comment, let me know what you think, like and subscribe, etc. And I'll see you next week, peeps. Bye. Oh yeah, this week's t-shirt, it's the Dream Tour by Hoarhound, 2014, something like that. Anyway, bye.